In this haircut tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do a burst fade step by step. So this is my client here. I've been cutting his hair for years, and I like to start with the top of the hair. I like to start with the top because it helps me find the length that I'm going to blend up into when I start the sides. Now with my client's hair, we leave the fringe a little longer. So you're going to see me combing his hair back. Just keep in mind, I leave the hair at the front a little bit longer because that's the style that we like to do. Now I'll make my way all the way to the back of the head, then I'll move to the next section, and then I'll move all the way back to the head again, move to the side, again, all the way to the back of the head. So I'm not cutting straight across, I'm actually point cutting. When you point cut, you add movement to the hair, so the hair looks a lot nicer and has a natural flow to it. It doesn't look super perfect like Superman haircut. And it also helps the hair lay down as well. Now, I like to talk to my client. I've known my client for years, since we were 12. Probably even earlier, since before we were 12, we've known each other. We played soccer together and we grew up together. So it's always a good time cutting his hair. Now, over here, the hair on the left-hand side of my client's head, so this side, hangs over when it's out of place, and it gets out of place pretty easily. So what I'm doing, I'm combing that hair on the left-hand side over the side of the left hand, or over the side of the head, and I'm just cutting it straight across to the point where I don't want it to fall over. This way, when my client's hair does get messy, it's not going to fall over and sit ugly. It's going to look nice. It's going to look nice even when it's out of place. Now I'm just going over my work again, making sure. Now I'm starting the side. So with this burst fade, I start with a 1.5, but then the 1.5 gets really dark and we wanted more pop. So I end up going with a 0 later on. Now, with the 1.5 guard open, not now, but the step before, I create the shape of the burst fade. We didn't want to do a mullet, we wanted to do in between a thick mullet and a skinny mohawk. So we found our middle ground, and that's the size of the hair at the back, the width of the hair at the back. Now, I did exactly the same that I just did on the other side. So the lowest length was a 1.5 guard open. I did that on this side as well, but the footage didn't come out right. So it's on this side that I decide that we need more pop in our haircut. So right here, I'm starting to use a 0, no guard closed, that's a 0. Just so we can get more pop. So I added in the shorter length to get more pop, just to make my client's haircut stand out more. So I'm flicking out. I do this quite a lot. I play it safe and then realize I need to go shorter or bring the fade higher. I want you to learn from my mistakes and figure out what you want to do before the haircut. That way, you're not wasting time during the haircut doing an entirely new fade. This is a habit that I got to figure out how to do. So I'm going to do my best to figure it out. But for the meantime, you watching, please learn from my mistakes and figure out exactly what haircut you're going to do before. That way, you don't have to do an entire fade. Realize you want to change the fade and do a whole nother haircut and go over time. Please learn from my mistakes and don't do what I'm doing. Figure out what you want to do straight away. Now you can see I've already blended in the 1.5 guard earlier from the sides to the top into the bulk of the hair. So this side's pretty much done. Now I'm starting with 0. So my steps are 0 closed, no guard closed, then no guard open, no guard halfway. That's how I fade out. And it's my current fading process. I'm still learning as I go. As a barber, you're still going to learn. You're constantly learning as a barber and picking new things up that make your life easier. Now, because I don't want to do an entirely new fade, I'm doing my best to flick out just so I don't create a new guideline, and I can try and so I can also blend up into the new length and do as little work as possible So I flick out. That's why I flick out. So I can try and skip steps, so I can do as little work as possible to change this fade. What am I about to do? Just detailing it up. So my client doesn't like me to touch his beard. He likes to do it himself. And now I'm just framing my client's face with a hairline, with the line up, doing the vertical, I'm doing the C cups now. And you're gonna see me do the vertical bar. I'm going to use the angle of my client's forehead as my angle for the vertical bar. And that's my big secret that I post on Instagram. That's my big secret. The perfect vertical bar. I use my client's forehead as my angle. This helps you do a symmetrical hairline, symmetrical line up to your client, so it suits your client and no one else but your client. Now you saw just on this right side of the hairline, not the beard, the hairline, I didn't push it back to make it sharp. I just did what I could. And I used the guideline of his forehead as my main guide, but I didn't push it back all the way, so it's perfect, because we don't need to. You don't need to all the time. You don't need a sharp hairline all the time. Now, as I was saying earlier, my client doesn't like me to touch his beard, so I just blend it in for him. He likes to do it himself. And with the growth that he has, he does a good job at lining it up himself. What I've done to help my beard, I've said this to my client. I don't know if he started using it. I think he has. Minoxidil. I use minoxidil twice a day. Once in the morning after I wash my face, once at night when I wash my face. So when I wash my face later tonight, I'm gonna use minoxidil, and it just helps grow your hair. Don't quote me, I'm not a professional. I've just used minoxidil myself, and it's grown my beard. I had no beard growth. Not that my client's beard growth is bad, but it's not full. I had nothing. And I got a beard now. Now what I'm doing, I'm blending in, well, back to the haircut, I'm blending in the back into the sides so it's not harsh. So I'm making it as blurry as possible, as smooth of a transition as possible. And what I do, I went with the 1.5 guard just before, and I'll play around with the lever open, lever closed to see how I can get a smooth, blurry transition. The way to get a blurry transition when you're fading into the bulk at the back with a burst fade is by digging into the length at the back of the burst fade. By digging into it, that's how you create a blurry look. So you couldn't really see in this video, but I have another video, I think, where you can see it, and I'm just gonna do a better job for next time. So this shop here, this is our Bexley North shop. So at the time of recording this video, or recording this haircut, our Revesby shop was getting renovated, and now our Revesby shop has opened up again. And I'm back at Revesby, but this was our Bexley North location that I was at for the time being. Now I'm using shave gel, and that's what I just put on my client's face just to help the blade glide smoother. I'm doing an eyebrow slit on my client. Now with the eyebrow slits, you don't want to do it too close to the edge of the eyebrow because it's not going to look like it's there. And the closer that you do it to the center of the eyebrow, you're going to make it look harsh. So the further away is softer, closer to the nose is harsh. Now I'm doing my client's eyebrows. The majority of my clients get their eyebrows done. Eyebrows help frame your face, and it's a great service to do that majority of your clients will enjoy. Now when you're doing eyebrows, you want to follow the natural arch of the eyebrows. Fuck. My laptop died. So as I was saying, you want to keep the natural shape, you want to follow the natural shape of the eyebrows. Most of the time you will be able to see the natural shape because the natural shape will be the darker hair. Then the lighter hair that you can see around the eyebrows is the hair you got to get rid of. So when you're using the blade, pull the skin tight, hold the blade flat. If you're worried about how much pressure to use on the eyelids or anywhere around the area, just practice on yourself. Pull your eyelids down, and it's just a good way to practice. But eyebrows are super important because they're dark, or you want to keep your eyebrows dark and as symmetrical as possible because it helps frame your face, and it's a key component of your look. And having symmetrical eyebrows helps, it helps you look more attractive as a man, because humans are attracted to symmetry, and it just helps you, well, it just helps you look much more attractive, much more handsome. They don't even need to be shaped. You can just have them symmetrical and cleaned up, and it's perfect. Now, I'm blow drying my client's hair, blow drying it into place, and I'm also getting rid of some of the little hair that's stuck in my client's hair from when I cut it with the scissors. Dusting my client's face off. Man, come on, Jonty, get to the video. Oh, I'm styling my client's hair. So I like to put hair product in my client's hair when my client's hair is damp, because the water, with the water helps the product lock onto the hair, and it avoids those white flakes that you get sometimes when you're applying hair product. It's because most of the time the hair is probably dry. So damp the hair to style the product, and it's going to look awesome. And this is the final product. If you learned anything from this video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I'll see you in the next one.